In our previous video, we explained what is a civil suit and what is a plaint. We received comments asking us to make a video on the frame of suit, so it is high time we did that. But before we do that, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so and like this video so that more people see it. Let's get started. In India, civil law cases are governed by the Civil Procedure Code 1908. We often refer to it as CPC. It has 15 orders. These orders lay down the rules to be followed from beginning till the end of a civil suit. If you want a separate video on the entire CPC, let us know in the comment section below. In this series of videos, we're going to explain each order. Today we'll cover the first 5 orders of the CPC, which deal with the parties to the suit and pleadings. So let's get started. Order 1 of the Civil Procedure Code deals with parties to the suit. Under Order 1, the plaintiff and defendant are defined as parties to the suit. Sometimes other persons also become parties to the suit and they are called third parties. This order explains who can be a party to the suit. First, let's look at who can file a suit. Only a person with a legal interest in the matter can file a suit. A legal representative like a guardian, manager, attorney, etc. can also file a suit on behalf of a person. For example, a guardian can sue on behalf of his ward. Similarly, a manager can sue on behalf of the company he manages. Coming to the definition of plaintiff, under Rule 1 of Order 1 of the Civil Procedure Code, the plaintiff means the person who files a suit. He is the one who approaches the court for justice. Now let's look at who can be sued. The person against whom the suit is filed is called the defendant. For example, in a suit for recovery of money, the person owing the money is the defendant. If there are multiple persons who owe the same debt, then all of them are joint defendants. For example, if 3 persons have borrowed money from the plaintiff and the suit is filed against all 3 of them, then all 3 of them are joint defendants. If 2 or more persons are liable to discharge the same debt, they are called joint debtors. For example, 2 or more persons have taken a loan in equal shares from the plaintiff and the suit is filed against both of them, then they are called joint debtors or joint defendants. Sometimes a person who owes a debt has assets in his possession which have been acquired by another person. In such cases, the person whose assets are in the possession of another person is called a pro forma defendant. For example, a car in which a person has an equity is sold to another person. In this case, the person who purchased the car without knowing that the seller has an equity in the car will be a pro forma defendant. The order also talks about legal representatives. If the plaintiff or defendant dies during the pendency of the suit, their legal representatives can be made parties to the suit. Legal representatives simply mean heirs or successors. This order ensures that only proper parties are involved in the case. A proper party is one who has a direct interest in the matter. Let's now come to Order 2 of the Civil Procedure Code. Order 2 talks about the frame of suit. It states that every suit shall be entitled in the following manner. At the top of the plaint, there should be a title and the title should contain the name of the court, the name of the parties, and a short description of the subject matter of the suit. For example, a suit for recovery of money. Once the title is mentioned, the names of the parties are mentioned next. The plaintiff is mentioned first, followed by the defendant. If there are more than one defendant, they are mentioned serially. For example, if there are 3 defendants, they will be mentioned as defendant number 1, defendant number 2, and defendant number 3. The plaintiff and defendant are separated by a horizontal line. Then comes the most important part, which is the subject matter of the suit. Here, the plaintiff gives a short description of the suit. For example, a suit for recovery of money, a suit for specific performance of contract, etc. This order ensures that the title contains all the essential elements and it helps to avoid confusion and delay in the proceedings. Now let's come to Order 3 of the Civil Procedure Code. Order 3 talks about joinder, misjoinder, and non-joinder of parties. Let's first understand the difference between the 3. Joinder simply means joining of parties. When multiple persons are joined as parties in one suit, it is called joinder. Misjoinder of parties means when persons who should not be joined together in one suit are joined. And lastly, non-joinder of parties means when a necessary party is not joined in the suit. For example, in a car accident case where the driver, owner, and insurer are at fault, all three of them can be joined as defendants in the same suit. This is called joinder of parties if the plaintiff sues the driver alone and the owner of the car is not joined as a party. It is called non-joinder of parties. If the plaintiff sues the owner and the driver together as defendants, it is called misjoinder of parties because they should be sued separately. If there is misjoinder or non-joinder of parties, the court can allow amendment of parties to be made or even order for the suit to be split into multiple suits. The court can pass any such order to do complete justice in the case. Now let's move on to Order 4 of the Civil Procedure Code. This order talks about pleadings generally. Pleadings simply mean written statements of the parties to the suit. Pleadings contain the claim of the plaintiff and the defenses of the defendant. Pleadings can be divided into two categories, namely pleadings in the initial stages and subsequent pleadings. In the initial stages, the pleadings are usually the plaint and written statement. Subsequent pleadings are those that arise during the trial and are called so because they occur after the framing of issues. The object of pleadings is to give the parties an opportunity to clearly state their respective claims and defenses. Pleadings also help the court to know the real dispute between the parties. Under Rule 1 of Order 4 of the Civil Procedure Code, pleadings shall be in writing and they shall be clear, concise, and precise. Pleadings must contain only material facts and not the evidence to prove those facts. Evidence refers to the documents, witnesses, or other material that is used to prove the facts. Evidence is not included in the pleadings. Pleadings only contain the material facts of the case. For example, if a contract was entered into, the date and subject matter of the contract are material facts. Evidence to prove the contract would be a copy of the contract itself. Under Rule 2 of Order 4 of the Civil Procedure Code, pleadings shall be signed by the parties or their advocates. This rule ensures that the parties take responsibility for the pleadings filed in the case. Now let's look at Order 5 of the Civil Procedure Code. Order 5 talks about plaint. The plaint is the document filed by the plaintiff. It contains the claim or cause of action of the plaintiff. Rule 1 of Order 5 talks about the contents of the plaint. The plaint shall contain the facts of the case, the cause of action, and the relief sought. As we've already discussed, pleadings do not contain evidence. Therefore, the plaint shall not contain evidence in support of the plaintiff's case. Plaint shall contain the facts of the case and the relief sought by the plaintiff. Relief simply means what the plaintiff wants from the court. For example, the plaintiff may seek damages, specific performance of a contract, or even permanent injunction. Rule 2 of Order 5 talks about the language of the plaint. The plaint shall be in English or Hindi or in the language of the court. This concludes the first 5 orders of the Civil Procedure Code. In this episode, we learned who can be parties to a suit and what is a plaint. We also saw the contents of the plaint. In the next episode, we'll continue with the remaining orders. Before that, if you'd like us to cover any particular order in detail, please let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on all our videos. Thank you and see you next time.